Day 8 in Melbourne delivered one of the most defining days of the tournament so far. With quarterfinal spots on the line, the level rose across the board, and while some of the biggest names confirmed their status, the day also produced a shock result that completely changed the outlook of the men's draw. Carlos Alcaraz delivered one of his most convincing performances of the tournament, defeating Tommy Paul in straight sets to reach the quarterfinals without dropping a set. From the first games, Alcaraz imposed his physicality and intensity, pushing Paul well behind the baseline and taking time away whenever possible. Paul tried to stay aggressive, but Alcaraz's defense repeatedly turned neutral points into offense. The Spaniard's forehand was devastating, especially when he stepped inside the court and his touch at the net kept Paul guessing. What stood out most was Alcaraz's control. He never rushed, never panicked, and raised his level whenever Paul threatened. It was a complete performance that confirmed why he looks like the clear benchmark of the tournament so far. Alexander Zverev handled a tricky matchup extremely well, beating Francisco Cerundolo in straight sets to book his place in the last 8. Cerundolo came in confident after a big upset earlier in the tournament and tried to dictate with his forehand, but Zverev never allowed him sustained momentum. The German's serve was a major factor, especially in tight games, and his backhand down the line repeatedly neutralized Cerundolo's aggression. Zverev stayed patient during longer rallies, absorbing pace and waiting for the right moment to attack. While the scoreline looked straightforward, it was a demanding match tactically, and Zverev's composure and discipline were key. This was a professional, mature performance from a player clearly building rhythm. Alex de Minaur once again showed why he is such a nightmare opponent on hard courts, beating Alexander Bublik in straight sets in front of a lively Melbourne crowd. Bublik had his moments of brilliance, mixing pace and creativity, but de Minaur simply refused to let the match drift. His speed and anticipation forced Bublik to go for more than he wanted, leading to errors at key moments. De Minaur's returning was exceptional, constantly putting pressure on Bublik's service games and taking away free points. What stood out was the Australian's focus. He stayed locked in from start to finish and never got distracted by Bublik's unpredictability. It was a disciplined, high-energy win that underlined de Minaur's growing belief at home. The biggest shock of Day 8 came as Lerner Tien produced a stunning straight sets win over Daniil Medvedev. The 20-year-old played with remarkable confidence, never looking overwhelmed by the occasion or the opponent across the net. From early on, Tien took the initiative, stepping into the court and refusing to let Medvedev settle into long, grinding rallies. His serving was smart rather than explosive, and he consistently won the first strike in points. Medvedev looked frustrated, unable to disrupt Tien's rhythm or force errors. As the match progressed, Tien grew more comfortable, closing out sets with authority. It was a fearless, composed performance and a true breakthrough moment that reshapes this side of the draw completely. On the women's side, Aryna Sabalenka continued her title charge with a comfortable straight sets win over Mboko. Sabalenka was sharp and aggressive throughout, serving with authority and controlling points with her power. She never allowed the match to become complicated, handling the occasion with the calm of a defending champion who knows exactly how to manage these moments. Coco Gauff faced a much tougher test against Karolina Muchova but came through in 3 sets. Muchova's variety and creativity caused problems, especially in the middle portion of the match, but Gauff stayed mentally strong. She raised her intensity in the deciding set, tightened her patterns, and relied on her athleticism and defense to outlast her opponent. It was a mature win that highlighted Gauff's ability to problem-solve under pressure. A major upset unfolded in the women's draw as Elina Svitolina defeated Mira Andreeva in straight sets. Andreeva never found her rhythm and struggled to impose her aggressive game, making uncharacteristic errors and failing to control rallies. Svitolina, by contrast, was calm and disciplined, using her experience to absorb pace and expose Andreeva's inconsistency. She stayed solid in the longer exchanges and took her chances cleanly, closing out a controlled win that sends her into the next round and ends Andreeva's run in Melbourne. Another eye-catching result came from 18-year-old Jovic, who demolished Yulia Putintseva 6-0, 6-1. It was a dominant display from start to finish, with Jovic overwhelming her opponent through aggressive returning and confident shot-making. The young player has looked increasingly composed with each round, and this performance confirms she is one of the most exciting emerging talents left in the draw. Overall, Day 8 felt like a turning point. The favorites who advanced did so convincingly, but the upset of Medvedev by Tien has blown the men's draw wide open. As the tournament heads into the quarterfinal stage, momentum, belief, and freshness will matter more than ever. If Day 8 showed anything, it's that this Australian Open is no longer about reputation, only about who can deliver when it matters most. That's what Day 8 of the Australian Open delivered. If you enjoy the summary, leave a like and subscribe. See you tomorrow.